big question is, where do you live? A tiny home may not be for everyone, but it is for someone. Hello, I'm Dwayne A. Jones, a developer and builder. I built several homes and several small commercial projects, but my most memorable projects to date are a tiny home community in Nashville I built for the homeless on wheels, and several small tiny homes on concrete slabs here in Memphis. My desire to build tiny homes came from my mission travels to Ghana and Togo, West Africa, India, and Haiti, and working with some nonprofits here in Memphis. I can just see the people now. I witnessed people living in small quarters, families and individuals, and they were just as happy as you can imagine. So, we have a housing problem, locally and globally, but specifically an affordable housing problem. Affordable doesn't mean inferior or built with poor construction quality, but it should mean built with best practices in energy efficiency. Again, I ask you, where do you live? A tiny home may not be for everyone, but it is for someone. Let's look at tiny homes as an affordable housing option. They're generally energy efficient, cost less to build, and with the land that they use from around the houses, you can put a homestead or gardening to produce produce and food on that small parcel of land. Over the years, I can honestly say that tiny homes have been a great part of my life and my travels. So, what is considered an affordable home? Based on my research, in Memphis, in June 2024, the average median home cost was $248,000. In Nashville, the median home cost in June of 2024 was $440,000. Who can afford these prices? But looking back at the affordable housing price, we could build smaller homes and address the tiny home crisis depending on the number of people in the household. Depending on the people in the household, typically we can say 1 to 6 people can live in a tiny home comfortably, depending on the square footage. There are 3 types of tiny homes that I'd like to share with you. One is the tiny home on wheels, and most communities frown against the tiny homes on wheels for various reasons. The second is considered an ADU or accessory dwelling unit, where we basically have a tiny house built in the backyard of an existing home. And the third is a tiny house that's on a lot by itself, sometimes called a cabin, a cottage, or a micro home. So who can benefit from these? Well, you have millennials, you have empty nesters, unhoused or homeless people, or even investors. Due to our living quarters and people accepting smaller spaces to live in, it's become very popular. We recently built a house that was 504 square feet for a couple in their backyard, an ADU. It was for a mother/mother-in-law suite. She decided to add skylights and also added a wraparound porch to give the home her own personal touch. Also, there are financial considerations such as the mortgage and the construction loan. Well, there's a standard rule, it's a 28%, 36% rule. The end borrower, their maximum amount that they should purchase should be no more than 28% of their gross monthly income. And their debt should not be more than 36% of their overall gross income. With that being said, that calculation, let's look at a person that makes $15 an hour. If a person makes $15 an hour, that equates to $2,400 a month, or it equates to $28,800 per year. With that being said, this person will qualify with our formula to spend up to $672 per month on housing. Well, if we look at people in the low income bracket, they typically spend up to 55% of their gross income on housing. That's a difficult place to be in. So with spending 55% of your gross income, let's look at other options. Tiny house, possibly. Well, when you look at a tiny house, I've built tiny houses that would say 280 square feet is the smallest house I built. It's a 10 by 28. It has a full bedroom, full bathroom, full kitchen, and it has a washer and dryer connection for a full washer and dryer, all in 280 square feet with a 10 by 8 porch. Also, I've been able to build what I call sleeping quarters. In Nashville, in the tiny house community for the homeless, we took a trailer and we built a tiny house that was 60 square feet. It was 6 by 10. It had a Murphy bed on the wall, insulation, drywall. It had electrical. We had electrical connected so we could put a window unit that actually served for heating and air as well as air conditioning, heating and air conditioning. But in that particular space, there was a common area that had a common kitchen, common bathroom, and a common living area. So that was a unique situation. I've also permitted a house that was 280 square foot here in Memphis. And I've also done a 1-bedroom that was 480 square feet, a 2-bedroom that was 682 square feet, and a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house that was 750 square feet. Well, I did that for energy efficiency, to reduce the carbon footprint, and also you can have space around your home to actually grow vegetables or have a garden. So what is considered a tiny home? Well, typically we look at a house that is 150 square feet up to 800 square feet. With that size home, depending on the household, you can typically fit anywhere between 1 to 6 people in the home to live comfortably, depending on the square footage. Well, if you have 1 to 6 people in the home, a lot of people are like, well, that's kind of cramped up. Well, we're looking at globally in America that we use more land for living than most other countries. So with a tiny home, we can actually also reduce the carbon footprint of a home, increase energy efficiency, and provide space for growing vegetables. And it also leads to the next thing of a homestead. Basically, we can take a homestead situation and we can grow vegetables, we can raise livestock, we can also produce some of our own goods and services. But with the homestead, we can take advantage of a lot of opportunities. One opportunity I've taken advantage of, the lots that I own, I have a farm tract number that was given to you by the USDA. It allows you to apply for federal grants for the NRCS. With that being said, if given the opportunity to provide tiny homes in the inner city, multiple on one lot, we could generate more people in neighborhoods. We could generate revenue for taxes. We could also reach out to others and grow vegetables and share with our community. But at the end of the day, tiny house may not be for everyone, but it is for someone. Thank you.